Could you give some examples from recent times, recent decades, on how gender-based violence has played a role in mass atrocities and not least genocides?
I mean, traditionally, sexual and gender-based violence against women and girls has been a hidden crime. And there is no war, there is no conflict in the history of the world where gender and sexual violence against women and girls has not been used. In modern histories, in today's time, and this has happened in the past too, that it's not just a byproduct of war, it's actually a tactic of war. By committing sexual and gender-based violence against communities, what perpetrators do is that they try to control that community. It's not about, it's about power, it's about control, it's about, in some cases it's about creating ethnically homogeneous spaces. It's about punishing community and truly attacking the heart of it. So that is what has been the essence of sexual and gender-based violence, and how it is such a dangerous tool which has been consistently used by perpetrators to attack the basic fabric of any society. And in Rwanda, in Srebrenica, in the Yazidi case, we saw again women's bodies were used as examples of showing domination. So in Rwanda, we have seen that Tutsi women were impregnated, were infected with HIV because they were considered as being expendable or being sort of the carriers of future generation of more Tutsi men. So attack them so that there are no more Tutsi men. In the same way, in Srebrenica or in former Yugoslavia, the entire atrocity commission in former Yugoslavia, again, sexual, gender-based violence, rape was such an important part of how perpetrators committed atrocities against certain communities. In the Yazidi case, it's very, very stark, where you see that girls, above the age of even 12 or even younger than that, were kidnapped and sold into sexual slavery. So it was literally destroying the entire community. So you had boys who were sometimes recruited or just killed outright, whereas women were used as sexual slaves, as people who would take care of these warriors, as domestic servants. So again, a lot of people sort of talk about this in the context of that it's a byproduct of war and it's a reality of war. But the problem is that it's actually a tactic of war. It's a way you destroy and hurt communities in a way that it takes generations for them to be able to recover and move on. So the thing is that sexual and gender-based violence, again, is a way in which you hurt a group in part or in whole. But sometimes the acts committed can be constitutive acts of genocide. But in many contexts, they are war crimes and they are crimes against humanity. And they are very, very serious crimes in the sense that they really, truly shock the consciousness of what makes us all human. So I think that it's so important that we consistently work on it, and we don't only talk about sexual and gender-based violence or gender discrimination in the context of war and conflict, but we talk about it constantly in times of peace. Because if we create better strategies, if we create better education systems to educate people about what these crimes actually do to entire communities and entire generations, then maybe we will have better outcomes.